Hey guys, what's going on? It's Pilot Manny with the RC Plane Addict. I want to welcome you guys to my channel, a place where I get to share my passion and addiction for flying these RC planes. So, today I thought I'd take you to the shop. It's a little crazy in here. Don't mind the mess. But what I want to show you today is this guy. So, this is the E-Flight Havoc that was given to me by Pilot Rich, and she's got some miles on it. I don't know. Pilot Rich loves to put his planes through its paces, and this guy has got probably, I don't even know, 100, maybe 200 flights on it. Needless to say, it's been through the ringer. And on the very last flight that I had with this plane, I didn't have it on camera, but it locked up on me. It literally was flying great. I had maybe 3 flights on it that day, and on my last flight, I was coming in on approach, and the plane just froze. It for all intents and purposes, it looked like a brownout. Now, I'm not too familiar with brownouts. They rarely happen to me. I think they happened once to me when I was flying the Cub and I was doing some wing testing. It was kind of weird. And from my research, it looks like brownouts are related to ESCs or I guess the receiver losing transmission from my transmitter. I checked my transmitter, nothing's wrong with it. So it's got to be either the ESC or the transmitter inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what happened to this plane and kind of walk you through how I go about assessing my planes before I go up and, decide whether I'm going to retire them or repair them or what before I decide to throw it back up in the air. A word of caution with EDF jets, especially planes like these. Now, this guy is an 80-millimeter jet, and the specs have it pushing at about 100 miles an hour, which means that this can be a very dangerous object should you lose control of this plane, which is why I am definitely going to be taking this very seriously, because if I can't seem to figure out the problem with it and I lose control, I could potentially do harm to property. God forbid, to myself or to anyone else. And then, obviously the best case scenario, the plane just kind of takes off into the woods and I lose it or it destroys itself. We don't want any of that to happen. I have the plane back. It's still in one piece. There are some minor damages I'm going to go over with you, but these are the types of things that I have to think about when, I fly these planes, because yes, it's a hobby. Yes, it's a lot of fun, but you also should have that level of responsibility, especially when you're flying EDF jets that are very, very fast. Okay, enough of that. Let's take a look. So I have the canopy off because I was just taking a look at everything. And what I have here is my notebook. So in my notebook, I take notes and I write down everything that I see and what I think I should be fixing. Now, I haven't plugged it in yet. I haven't looked at any of the servos or the motor to see what's going on with that. What I've done is basically done just like a surface check. So what I've noticed right away is that, here at the front of the fuselage, I got my nose and it's kind of split. Okay, so it landed hard on its belly and it looked like it touched down on the nose, which kind of split that. Everything else seems to be okay. It kind of buckled the walls here, which I'm going to kind of try to use a little bit of flexing power to kind of put back into its shape. And because of its buckling, it split my canopy. So I went ahead and wrote all of that down. Okay, sort of like a little checklist here. I got my nose split. I got my buckling sidewalls underneath the plane here, and I'll flip the plane upside down so you can see it in a moment. The wings seem to be intact. Nothing seemed to happen to the right side of the plane, to the flight surfaces. The aileron and the flaps seem to be intact. Same with the right side of the elevator, and this is a 2 servo elevator. There is a right and a left side, so you have to pay special attention to both sides. And obviously the rudder seems to be intact. And I'm just checking all the hinge surfaces to make sure nothing is loose on this side of the plane. When you come around to this side of the plane, however, it looks like it may have touched down at an angle and crushed the tip of my aileron on the left-hand side. The aileron itself is still connected at the hinges, which is great, and the flap itself looks to be in great shape. This side over here is nothing but wear and tear. Looks like hanger rash, so I'll probably just stick something in there to support that, but that's still in good shape, and so is this side as well. All right, so that's the top side. Let's flip this bad boy over and look at what's going on the other side. All right, sorry about that. Had to put this thing on my head. Hope I got a good angle for you guys. All right, so just flipping this plane over, looking at the underside, you can see that it definitely landed on its belly. There's, you know, a lot of dirt and chipping here. I put a block in here to support my gear, and it definitely did its job because this bad boy's still in place and still locked in pretty tight. Looks like there's a little flexing down there, probably some glue kind of let go, but we can adjust or address that. Actually, I'm going to do that now. Glue to front gear. You can see there's some buckling here that happened, maybe a little bit of a split, okay, in the foam, definitely. So we're gonna have to address that. Looks like there was a little bit of split here as well, not too crazy. It looks like the rear gear seems to be still intact. That was down when the crash happened, I believe. I could be wrong about this. But yeah, I think that was down when the crash happened. Otherwise, that probably would have been ripped up. And everything else on the underside seems to be okay. So again, I'm just inspecting literally everything from the front to the back. I'm looking at the links. I'm making sure that the control horns are all still kind of in there good. For both wings. These links are a little flimsy there. I don't know about that. This guy definitely needs to be repaired. That's that wingtip on the aileron. It looks like this is all good. Control horns all seem to be intact and in good shape on both sides. And those fins on the bottom seem to be in good shape as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fire it up. I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to take my transmitter. I'm going to wind it up and make sure that all my servos are working, to see if my gear is still working and to see if the motor is still responding. What I've done here is I've taken out my bolts to get access to the motor, and what I think I'm going to do, I'm not 100% sure on this yet, I have here an 80 amp ESC along with a 70 millimeter jet unit that came off of my F-35. So if I need this, I have it, and this is relatively new. I mean, that plane only had like 3 decent flights on it, so that's like nothing compared to what this plane has on it. And again, since I had that brownout, which is directly related to ESC and receiver, I have some choices to make. I also have a 6-channel orange RX, which I may put in here instead of the stock receiver, which is that Spectrum receiver that has AS3X and safe in it. And I'll be honest with you, this plane is very locked in and predictable when flying. It really doesn't need all of those supports unless, you know, you're an extremely novice to beginner pilot and you need that support. I'm an intermediate pilot, I like to say, still an amateur, not a professional by any means whatsoever, but you know, at some point you just don't use those features unless you lose orientation or you know, you're trying to show it off for whatever reasons. All right, the next thing I'm going to show you before I actually turn this thing on is just what I've kind of gathered here to help me put this thing back together again. I got some Gorilla Glue, I have some Loctite, I got some barbecue skewers, I have some wire, which is nothing more than flag wire that you can get at Home Depot. They sell it by the bundles of 100. I mean, they're like a dime a dozen. It's nothing. I got some popsicle sticks for reinforcement, some blue tape. I got reinforced packing tape. This is the good stuff. This is that Scotch strapping stuff, and it's reinforced strength. It's got like those little fibers built in. This is good stuff. I'm not going to be using this. I just had it out of my box. Obviously the extra parts if I need it. I got a couple of knives here. I have my box cutter and I got my X-Acto knife. I have my precision tool with my precision parts here, so I can get at the screws to kind of access the motor and the ESC later. And that's about it. I'll probably get a little bit of water, which I need to activate this guy with. I don't know what happened to my little spray bottle. It's kind of upsetting. I'll have to use my bigger bottle, which is kind of nuts. And that's it. All right, let me get my ESC, excuse me, my radio and a battery, and we'll plug this thing in and see what's still working. Also checking to see if everything in the inside looks good. All the straps are still intact. Looks like the battery tray is still in good shape, so that's all good. Let's get the right model here.
Throttle cut, mid-range, safe mode, landing flaps.
Alright, so she's twitching. Looks like safe is active.
Flaps up.
So let's see.
Takeoff flaps. Landing flaps. Flaps up.
Flaps are still in good shape. Ailerons seem to be working well. Elevator seems to be working well. Rotor's in good shape. Alright. And last but not least, we have to check my gear. So I am going to strap this bad boy down. Just so I lose my battery here. Like one strap will to do it. You can hear safe trying to correct the plane. So that's good. We know that's still active and working. Probably turn safe off.
AS3X mode.
Alright, gear.
Gear up.
Gear works fine. And let's give this bad boy a blast and see if she has some power.
Throttle cut off. Throttle cut.
So, it seems like everything seems to be working okay. She's responding. All surfaces are responding. The gear responds.
Flaps. Landing flaps. Flaps up. Throttle cut.
Looks like I got very lucky with this one. All right. So that's all great news. Let's get this bad boy upright again, and we'll go ahead and start putting it together so we can hopefully fly it again. It's really unfortunate too because this happened like the same day I flew flying this plane, and everyone had left. Well, not everyone, but Pilot Rich that was there helped me film. He left, so I kind of had the head cam on, and as I always do. And it was really weird how it locked up on me like that. I don't even know how to explain it. It was just I am using this adapter here from Amazon, and I have 3 of them, and I've never had an issue with these guys, and it seems to be in good shape, so I can't even blame the adapter. I don't know if you guys have any ideas why she would lock up on me like that. Please share out in the comments. All right. Let's start cracking at this bad boy, shall we? We'll put her on our belly. Seems to be where most of the damage is. And I think we'll start here up the nose. Turn this thing off and get rid of it. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use this barbecue skewer here. And I'm just going to kind of tuck it in from the side and kind of run it straight through like this. And that'll give it some support from the inside. I'm going to put some foam tack right there in that seam there to kind of hold it together. And I'm just going to kind of measure out how much I want in there. Probably going to be about that far. So we'll just cut this to size. Looks pretty good. I love foam tack. This is like miracle cure for this stuff, man. It's really unbelievable. It's like, I don't even know how to explain it. So if you've never used Foam Tack before, the key with using it, and it sets relatively quick, like you can use this stuff at the field and give it just like a good 5 to 10 minutes worth of cure time, and you're going to be back up and flying again. Of course, it does tend to sometimes set within its hollow. Let's see if I can open this channel up again. I think I got these packs on Amazon too. So the key to kind of getting this stuff to work is you want to kind of make sure that it gets like stringy. So what you do is you kind of put it together and pull it apart, and just do it like several times rapidly, really fast. And you'll see it like kind of becoming like really stringy. Just like that. And that's when you know it's like she's really starting to set up. And get the stuff on your fingers, it's like crazy. Alright, so that looks good. And then what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of hold it straight like this for a moment, and then just push this bad boy in from the side. Kind of just stuff it in through, just like this. Maybe use this thing to help me push it through. That'll help hold it there. And kind of just clip the end. We can sand that little piece off later. What I'll do is it's really going to hold it together and give it some support. If you feel so inclined, you can put like a little piece of wood just along the inside surface here to hold it, but it probably won't even need that. Just any kind of extra glue that's running out, you can kind of just take that right out. Alright, so that's one part done. I got this little piece here. Oh, looks like that my nose cone kind of separated a little bit. Alright, so that's one more thing I need to do. Stuff a little Foam Tack in there. Kind of do the same thing again. Alright, that should be good. Should be good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pry this bad boy out. Give it a little bit of a cut. Taking this out so I can just recenter it, make sure it's upright. Alright, so there's a bunch of just glue on here. I'm just going to kind of remove that. We're going to kind of just clean off all the excess glue on the block. And this is, all this is Gorilla Glue that I have here. And it's really good to use. I like using it especially when I have gaps to fill, or if I need to make a really, really tight bond in a small space, because Gorilla Glue expands into the pores. And it makes an incredible seal. It does take some time to set, but once it's set, man, I mean, good luck getting it out. I do have a little bit of sandpaper here to clean it up, and we'll just use that. Alright, we got this thing all nice and cleaned up. So I'm going to look to kind of just reinsert this bad boy in here. And it looks like it, so she's definitely going to need a little bit of support to kind of stay together. So what I think I'll do is I'll just grab some rubber bands, and that'll help to kind of close up around this space here and just really hold it tight. And that's what I'll do. Need a repertoire of things in this hobby, let me tell you. Good, maybe 3 or 4 of these bad boys here. You guys ever seen that video where they put those rubber bands around that watermelon until it pops? I feel like that's what I'm doing right now.
Hey, how do you know that?
Everyone knows that video.
Well, I found,
Popping rubber bands left and right here. There's some old rubber bands. That looks pretty solid. Now as you can see, there's like a pretty large gap in here. I'm just gonna fill that with some glue, and it'll expand over time, and it'll actually fill in the gap, which is what I want. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Alright, so now that I've test fit just to make sure that it all works, I'm gonna kind of take it apart and put the glue in, and then put the bands back. Another thing you should know is that this glue needs water. So my little water bottle, kind of just wetting things, not soaking. You know, it's like a pretty big water bottle for this job. Right. Some glue here on each side. And some glue all along the back here, just like this. Slide this bad boy right back into place. If you guys have ever worked with this type of glue, you know that it really needs like a hard clamping to kind of do its job properly. I think that'll work out just fine for now. I have a little wooden dowel here though, that'll help kind of put little pressure on the backside. That should help pretty good. And then what I think I'll do is just make a little shim with some paper. Kind of give me what I need. Alright, so it's been a little time. It looks like this thing is really expanding out. As you can see, it has completely filled the gap, which is what I want. I'm going to take the rubber bands off, I believe, at this point, because now this has been held in. I don't want any like crinkles or creases forming in the foam. So it's only been like maybe a few hours. I am going to give this like a full 24-hour cure. And like I said before, I was using just this, I wasn't going to use tape to hold this to it, but this actually worked really well. So nothing like a little dowel to hold your things together. All right, let's clean up this workstation real quick and let's get back to it. All right, so back to my list here. It looks like I have cleaned up the buckle and the nose split I need to work on still. Okay, before I get there, I do have my canopy here, and this is probably the easiest one to fix out of all of them. Little foam tack in the seam. We're going to put it on one side. I'm going to put a nice big bead in there, just like that. Put the cap back on. And just like before, we're going to kind of fit it. And then I'm just going to do the in and out kind of method here until I get like nice strands forming. She seems to fit pretty good, just like that. And then what I think I'll do is, just so that it's held there, I'm gonna put a little of this tape here. Just put it up against my shirt just to kind of give it a little less stick. I want to pull the paint off, I don't have to. That'll be set. Yep. All right, canopy is done. Okay, let's flip this bad boy over and continue working on the nose here. So we have our split. So what I think I'm going to do is just put some foam tack in there. I'm going to kind of do my little jimmying again, and then I'll probably take like that rubber band set that I had and kind of just slide that back around just to hold it too. Foam tack, man. Good stuff. Whoever invented this stuff, it's like genius. Don't be afraid to use this stuff. Get it in there good. All right, let's go. Work it in there. Work it, work it, work it. Okay, so I definitely have some stuff coming out the top. I'm gonna take a little stick here and kind of just smooth it all off. Good enough. Good enough, boy. Put this right there. That'll hold it together for me. And I think, in addition, yeah, I gotta definitely squeeze that. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get a little, got some foam board parts here from all my scrap building. These are really good for just like getting all that excess out. And same with all my scratch builds. I use a lot of this tape to kind of hold the seams together. So I'm gonna kind of do the same thing here. Where I see the seam is good, lined right up. I'm leaving like a little tab up just so I can kind of grab hold of it. Yeah, man, it's looking good now. Okay, the nose is taken care of. I mean, is it perfect? No, it's not. Is it one piece? Yes, it is. That's all we're working on here. All right, so with this part, this is a little bit harder to deal with, unfortunately, but what I think I'm going to do here is to help hold its form. I'm going to definitely start flexing this foam here because it got crushed. And that's part of the problem, like with foam, when it crushes, it's really hard to kind of sometimes get its shape back. I mean, you could put hot water on it or hit it with a heat gun, but then you start expanding the foam and that could be a problem. So what I think I may do here is take like another piece of stick and I may just run it right down like so. And what's that's going to do is from here on, it'll kind of like help to hold its form because it'll have like something stiff on the inside. And I think that's what I'm going to end up doing here. And that should be good enough. All right. So let's cut this here. Gotta get creative with these things sometimes, let me tell you. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of make myself a point on one end just to help me get an insert going. Now, if you've noticed, I haven't been like really gluing these in place. It's really because this kind of is like pressure fit into its spot. It's like, it's not going anywhere. So ideally I want it to kind of look like this, running down on the inside to kind of give it that like internal structure. And I'm just going to hold it shaped the way I want it to be. I'm just going to kind of like start working it down and through. And it looks pretty good, actually. It looks really good. I mean, it's pretty, it was hard to push in there. I almost like felt it like really getting into me. I'm just going to kind of use something a little more hard to kind of force down the end of it. Just so there's a little bit out of it. There you go. That's not too bad. I'll take that. And that buckling's almost gone now. And that's what you really want, because ideally what we want is this guy to kind of just find its space back in. That looks pretty good. That looks really good. I mean, the only real evidence, obviously, is you could tell here it's not quite down all the way. But honestly, this is really snug in there, and that's good. That's really good. And then on, like, because of all the paint chipping, I'll have to hit it with some black paint again to kind of mask it. But, you know, obviously she's not, like, completely seamed down, but I'm not gonna, like, split ends about that. I mean, this is, like, so tight right now. What I could do is kind of just, I could probably put another piece in there, right there, to kind of like make that a little bit more straight. See how that kind of got a little, maybe we'll do that. All right, let's see here. So this is buckled right here. What I want to do is straighten it so it's like that. So all right. Let's see. Looks like there's a little separation there. I didn't even notice that. I'm gonna have to address that as well. That plastic intake. All right. So we're gonna kind of pull on it a little bit. I'm gonna start inserting this bad boy through again. Yeah, it's a little better. Just using like a blunt end of the knife, just so I can get a little bit more of a push through. Yeah, that's better. It's not too bad. Little tricks of the trade. All right. Let's deal with that intake. Let me look at my list real quick here, make sure I'm getting through it. So I got the nose split, I got the buckling on the underside, I reinforced the front gear, I did the canopy. I still need to do the left aileron, the elevator. I got to check the motor and ESC, which we just did. And oh, I got to glue to that front foot of the, yeah. So that I will probably have to, So there's hot glue in there now, but ideally I would like some Gorilla Glue in there. The only real problem is the expansion. I'll have to think about that. We'll see. We'll see what I do in the end. You guys can leave in the comments if you if you agree with my decisions. I mean, I can't say that I always make the right decisions, but I do like to say I'm never wrong. All right. Kind of just work that glue in there, just like that. I should do that. That should be good there. And then this side looks pretty good. Okay. All right, let's move on to the aileron. I think the best way to deal with this is kind of, whoops, shift this guy this way. I gotta be honest, I can't believe I'm fixing this thing right now. Like, I was getting ready to write this thing off. When Pilot Rich told me, like, how many flights this thing had gone through, I was like, oh my god. Why am I even, going through this? But I like it. It's like, it really is a great flying jet. I mean, it's not the Avanti, but, like, honestly, like, I really wish they kind of kept making this plane. There was nothing really wrong with it. Why it went out of, they could have made another version of it. Maybe they still will. E-Flight, if you're listening, come on, man, make an in-runner. Put it in there. The people want it. Like I speak for everybody. All right. So to stiffen this wing end, I think what I'm gonna do is, instead of putting a piece of wood, I think I'm gonna slide in one of the a piece of this metal, and I'm gonna kind of do like one of these jobs straight through. See if I can help stiffen up that wing end. These like little jobs here, they're not that easy sometimes, but all right. Looks like it's going straight through. Oop. It's kind of pushing out the top there. That's okay. Stop, and we'll just clip the end. I'm happy with that. That's nothing. I can honestly just not too crazy with that, but I think that's literally the way it's supposed to be honest with you. So we'll just leave it. I'll set up stuff and we'll be alright. Okay, onwards. Yes, so this I think we need to adjust from the underside. So I'm gonna just flip this bad boy. And plan on doing the same thing here. Just another little rod right through it to kind of stiffen that up and deal with that. See how easy it is to fix these planes, guys? There's nothing to it. Little foam tack. A little creativity. Don't be scared. No, honestly, like, I can't even tell you how many of these wrecks I've had to put together. You know, and they're expensive. It's like, you know, you put a plane into the ground, which you're gonna do. It's just part of the hobby. And what do? You know, you put it back together again. That's it. You're not gonna go out and spend another, what, $500 on an E-flite jet because you had a mistake. Just deal with it. I mean, there's like very few times, oh, there's a good crack there, that I would say like I would have to get rid, like if you saw the F-35, like what I put it through and just how destroyed it was in the end. I mean, at that point, that's like it. You just can't put it together anymore. I mean, it's almost like there's more hot glue than there is foam. And at that point, you know, that's it. You can honestly say that you've worked that plane to its potential. I mean, they are foam. There's only so much you could do with foam these days. But I guess you could say the same about balsa too. As you can see, I'm not using anything that's gonna like break the bank here when it comes to like restoring these planes. It's just like the minimalist approach. Yeah, nice and stiff. Looks good. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Alright, so the very last bit I'm gonna do here is I have to let me look at this. Look at this expansion. Look how crazy that is. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not even gonna touch this until like tomorrow morning, and then what I'll do is I'll probably just cut off all this excess here and kind of clean it up. I mean, but there's really nothing else to do there. That's like locked itself into place just right, which is, that's what you want. That's what you want. It's buckling here. I may run, you know what? I may run let's do it. Let's run a little rod right in there, just like I've been doing. That'll help to keep it kind of like, I guess, a little bit more on the straight and narrow. This thing's going to be full of more pins than foam pretty soon. like I said, like this plane, like in all honesty, has probably lived like its life. Like it's reasonable, foamy life. With the way like my friend Rich here like flies his planes, it's just like, okay, you can let it go now. Ooh. I stiffened it up a little bit more. Feels good. I like that. I'll take it. All right, where was I? Oh yes, I have to put these screws back in here. So I did make the decision, upon pondering this whole affair here, that I do want to try to fly this plane again with its setup. Like I don't know why it lost signal or why it froze up on me. You know, I'm gonna do like a radio check on the ground before I take it up again, and hopefully everything will be working okay. But yeah, I can't really understand. Like I tried to reach out, believe it or not, to Horizon, and of course they wanted me to send the plane back. I'm like, that's gonna cost me probably more than the plane's worth at this point. Like that's not an option. Thank you for your optimism, but I'm not doing that. So, you know, I feel like if this thing takes another bad crash, and hopefully it's, I mean, I hate to say like a safe crash, but a crash that doesn't harm or hurt anyone, that'll be the end of it. So this is sort of like its last call. All right, so I'm putting a little blue Loctite on these threads here, just so I can put them in and know that they're not gonna find their way out. It's just Loctite thread, the 242, removable. So you want to get these things out, I guess, but you don't want them backing out too easy. And I find this stuff works actually really well. So if you have any like questionable areas that may back out on you, a little Loctite never hurts. This is just the access door that I had opened up before to look at the motor. Make sure that was all just in good shape. And it was. And that's really it. I'm probably just going to take a little towel to it, clean it up. Got my water bottle. Get all this dirt off the base. And then once everything is back in order, I'll probably just give it another quick hit with some black and red. Move on with my life. Yeah. That works. Oh, there we go. Let me make sure I found the spot. That's it. Ready to go again. All right, guys. So that's pretty much how I put back my foam planes together after they've had these crazy crashes. I mean, sometimes they're more involved than others, but honestly, this is all that I really use. This is like the bare essentials to repairing foam planes. You know, you gotta have like those stiffening bars for the inside. You gotta have your glues. You gotta have ways of securing your glues, rubber bands, you know, tape that's not going to pull your paint. So, you know, that blue tape is definitely important. And above all else, be creative. You know, don't give up too easily on these planes. They're tougher than you think. The designers of this foam make it so that they break almost like jigsaw puzzles. It's very bizarre. Like they don't shatter. They kind of like break at very specific points, and they just go right back together again without having to add really anything else to it. I mean, every now and again you got to fill a void, but you know, you use a little Gorilla Glue and that stuff just expands right up, and you know, you got a hole filled, and you just got to shave it down and deal with that. It's good stuff. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Share it with some friends if they're having a hard time with their foam planes. And leave a comment if you have any questions or you want to add to, I guess my my bench here. Any suggestions on what I could use to kind of make my I guess my restoring of these foam planes a little easier. Because, anyways, you know what I'm saying. All right, guys, take it easy. Peace.